Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome to the Wilds of Eldraine Arena Open Day 1 event. This is a super competitive 6-pack sealed event where we're going to be building the best deck we can out of 6 booster packs of Wilds of Eldraine. This event costs 25,000 gold or 5,000 gems, so it is very expensive entry fee. It is the gem equivalent of $25 a run, and you don't get anything back basically until 7 wins. At 6 wins, you get half your entry back. At 7 wins, you get your entry back. But in replacement for that very, very hefty entry fee, we are competing for a chance to make it into the Arena Open Day 2, which is a best of 3 draft event with up to $2,000 in prizes on the line. So, gotta play some high variance best of 1 sealed where you're hoping to open greatness and not garbage. But if you can make it through the gauntlet that is the Arena Open Day 1, Day 2 is quite a fun, quite a competitive event. Best of 3 draft, in my opinion, much, much more fun, a lot more control over what you're doing than best of 1 sealed, and obviously that's where the big bucks are on the line. So fingers crossed, we're giving it a few attempts, see if we can make it through the roulette wheel of the Arena Open Day 1, but without further ado, let's bust open these packs, see if we open some sweet rares, some sweet cards in general, just see what we get to build with today. Alright, here is our hodgepodge mess of a sealed pool, unfortunately. Copy Enchantment, Thunderous Debut, and Sanguine Bond are all completely unplayable. We do have Sleep Cursed Fairy, which is a very solid blue rare. It is very overstated for its mana cost, but in replacement, it does have to sit on the board tapped for a while, so that is a pretty great one. Extraordinary Journey is very slow, but it can be quite the card draw engine if you have a lot of adventures in your deck, cards that you can cast from exile later. Plus, just when you play it, it's going to slow your opponent down a little bit and maybe draw you a card or two, so not unplayable like these 3, but not great, in my opinion. Definitely better in sealed than draft, though, so I think if we play blue, we'll probably try it out. Imidane the Pyrohammer doesn't do much of anything unless we have a ton of burn spells, which we can't control in sealed, we just have to have opened them. But a 4-mana 4/4, pretty rough stat line. Double red and 2, no abilities if we don't have burn spells, so really depends on what we open there. Rankle's Prank, if you get into the right position, is explosive. If you're in the wrong position, it does literally nothing. But sometimes your opponent gets down to 4 and this just finishes them. Sometimes you have 2 rats on board and they have nothing but valuable creatures, so you can do the sack 2 thing. And sometimes you dump your hand early and they still have cards left, and you can make them discard 2, but you don't have to discard anything. So usually finds a good use, so I usually play it when I'm in black. And last but not least, the Apprentice's Folly, a card that is good if you have a lot of bargain in your sealed pool, and not really playable if you don't. You have to have ways to sacrifice this or put it back in your hand or something to stop Chapter 3 from triggering, but if you do, this is going to be pretty good value for 4 mana. So pretty weak sealed pool overall yet again, I would say. I think Sleep Cursed Fairy is a premium rare. Rankle's Prank and Apprentice's Folly can be fine. Journey is slower than I'd like it to be, and from there it's kind of just garbage, so not very happy about the rares yet again. But it's a little better than last time, at least. I actually don't know the order these Arena Open videos are going to go live, or which ones are going to go live, because I think I don't want to spam you with a ton of them, so I think it's just going to be daily. We'll do like two of the runs. So you might not see my first Arena sealed pool, but my first sealed pool had 1 playable rare, basically, I think. I mean, it had a couple, but we can only play 1 of the playable rares in the same deck, basically, because we had 0 fixing, which yet again, there's no non-basic lands, there is no Prophetic Prism, not even any of the 2-colored non-basics, not counting Crystal Grotto, 0 colorless fixing in the sealed pool. When it comes to colored fixing, we have Brave the Wilds and Root Rider Fawn in green. So if we want to do splashing, we're going to have a real bad mana base, or we're going to be playing green, and that's the only way. When it comes to 2-color reasons to be playing a color, there's Johan and the Apprentice's Folly, telling us to play blue-red, so we'll check that out. Neva for white-black's also pretty solid. So those are the only color pairs with a multicolored card to look out for. Very simple sealed pool overall, I would say, based on the fact that we have no fixing and 3 multicolored cards total. This is going to be a sealed pool where we need to just look at our colors individually, pick the strongest two, and mash them together. So let's see what we have in white here. Okay. I guess there's more creatures than it looks like because of Hopeful Vigil. There are 5 creatures total, 3 of which are Keep Guard, which is not good in sealed. You can draft around this card, drafting a ton of enchantments and having a low aggressive curve, but in sealed, if you have it with 5 creatures total in the color, I don't think it's doing anything. Interference, Solitary Sanctuary really don't do anything. Return Triumphant with this small of a creature count's not going to do anything. Break the Spell doesn't do anything. White does not look playable in the slightest. We've got a couple removal spells like a Cooped Up and a Princess Takes Flight, but just not looking good. Blue certainly looks better. Not as good as I would want it to be, because I really want to play my Sleep Cursed Fairy. So I wish blue was our best color, but it's not likely to be, because we've got some mediocre cards that are just never going to make the cut, like Freeze in Place, Compulsion, Copy Enchantment. Stormkeld Prowler ideally doesn't make the cut. We only have 1 adventure creature on color, and we're probably not getting a ton in the secondary, so Chancellor of Tales, not likely to make the cut either, so we're down to 3 creatures on color total. We only have 2 bargain spells, which means Hatching Plans. I guess there's 3 bargain spells. Depends on our secondary color, but doesn't feel like Hatching Plans is going to be super playable. Probably want like 7+ bargain cards to get Hatching Plans in the deck, because spending 2 mana to do nothing all game is obviously horrible, but spending 2 mana to draw 3 is excellent, so you need to meet it somewhere in the middle where you have enough ways to sacrifice it to have it at some level of consistency. So I think 7+ bargain is where you want to be. Water Wings is an okay trick. The Quick Studies are good draw. The Ice Out's a fine counterspell. Everything else gets played, which gives us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blue playables. We need a secondary color with like 14 playables in it to go blue, or we have to play some very filler stuff like Stormkeld Prowler. Alright, I prefer not to have to play blue if it's at that quality, but we get the Sleep Cursed Fairy as a benefit if we head into the color. Checking out our black, that's some goodies right there. 3 copies of Candy Grapple, excellent cheap instant speed removal spell, plays really well against aggressive decks, plays incredibly well against any adventure creatures that are trying to buff a creature they have, because they just like try to put a roll token on one of their creatures with an adventure and you kill it in response with Candy Grapple. Then they lose their adventure spell and the creature itself. Super good 2-for-1. Love me some cheap instant speed removal like Candy Grapple in this format. Probably not playing the discard. Definitely not playing Dark Tutelage or Sanguine Bond. Hopeless Nightmare is fine discard though. The mana efficiency of this is excellent, and it's just like free bargain fodder. We actually have 3, 4, 5 instants in this sealed pool, so we might consider playing Dream Spoilers this time. You do need a lot of instants for it, but if you have them, it can be good. With Ashiok's Reaper, we have no roll tokens on color, so it depends on what our next color is doing, but it looks quite unlikely to make the cut. But black looks real. 3 Candy Grapple, Taken by Nightmares, Feed the Cauldron for removal, and a solid curve of creatures. We got some 2s, some 4s, a 3, and a 5. Black is the best color we've seen by a lot so far. Checking out our red now, it gives us a Stone Splitter Bolt. If we've got a great aggressive curve in a red-black deck, we can use Gnawing Crescendo as well as kind of a finisher. Imodane is unplayable. We have 1 burn spell in the sealed pool. It's a 4-mana 4/4 that's hard to cast. A 4-mana 4/4 that needs double red. Once in a blue moon, we'll randomly kill our opponent with Stone Splitter Bolt, but more often than not, we're just having it difficult to cast 4-mana 4/4, so I don't think Imodane's going to make the cut. But the rest of the red stuff looks really good for a red-black rat aggro deck if we have a little bit of rat support out of our blacks. So I'm thinking red-black's looking pretty sweet. Got a tiny bit. We at least have Lord Skitter's Butcher, but that's kind of it, actually, for rat support. But black just being a good color to pair with anything in general, and the sealed pool does incentivize me to go for the black-red route if we're doing red aggro stuff. But yeah, I like the red aggro stuff going on here. Got a nice aggressive curve of creatures with the Gnawing Crescendos. Just get in for damage. These are basically 4-drops, the Merry Bards, but that makes it so all 3 of our 4-drops can single-handedly trigger Celebration. They put 2 permanents on the board between the Bards and a Young Hero roll, or the Pack and a Rat. Pretty nice. Yeah, I'm liking our black, I'm liking our red, I'm liking the idea of black-red. Comes to green, we've got Knight of the Sweet's Revenge, Thunderous Debut, Ground Seal. We've got an Up the Beanstalk with 1 5 mana value card and very few in our other colors, so Up the Beanstalk's also unplayable. Bloodline's just not very good. Verdant Outriders aren't good unless you have really big reasons to play 4-power creatures. Tempest Heart is not good without 5-drop creatures, and that puts us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green cards. We are not playing green. Yeah, this is a black-red sealed pool, and it's not really close. I mean, I guess I'll take another look at white because of Neva. Take one look at white-black because our black's good enough to try to support the white. But fairly confident our white-black is just going to be worse than our red-black. Yeah, our white-black's going to look something like this. It's mainly just a bunch of good black cards. I don't really see what we gain from playing white overall outside of Neva, which is a good card. I think I would much rather go black-red and gain all of that early aggro and try to clear some people out while they're still setting things up, so cursory look at black-white there. It might not be much worse than black-red, but I do think black-red is certainly the place to be in this sealed pool. And we've got 51 cards on color. Plenty of auto cuts, though, like the Sanguine Bond, the Dark Tutelage, Ariet's Whisper. Probably cut Ashiok's Reaper with the lack of enchantments we're going to have sitting around. Yeah, we're going to have 2 roll tokens if I cut Whisper. So we'll cut the Reaper as well. Hopeless Nightmare works with Reaper, but I don't think it's worth it. I don't think the 4-mana 4/4 with basically no text is worth it. Baronati. I need to see my creature curve before I start cutting creatures and make sure I've got enough 2-drops just to be aggressive. This is 3 more cuts right now. I feel like Dream Spoilers is probably not going to make it. Fell Horseman's a bit slow, but in sealed you can be a bit slower even in your aggro decks. Maybe we don't want 2 copies, but I think 1 Horseman would not be bad. This is a good amount of 2-drops even if we cut a Baronati, so I might do that. A little bit lower than you would want for like an aggro deck in draft, but again, for aggro and sealed, I think 4 2-drops is still reasonable, especially when we have 2 1-drops as well to get going. Yeah, so I'm going to drop the Baronati. Although, I mean, 1/3 stat line is large. But really just for blocks is where it plays well. I think I'm cutting a Baronati, a Fell Horseman kind of thing. Getting a bit faster and then cutting like a land. And that looks pretty good to me. Horseman, Baronati, cut a Swamp because we just dropped 2 black cards. I've got 2 really good double black cards, but I have more red than black overall. So even split makes sense to me. Yeah, 11-13. We'll go even split on it. And just call it a deck here. All right, here we have a look at our Arena Open sealed deck for today. We are on a black-red aggro deck. We didn't have any super great place to be in terms of like really high impact individual cards, like rares or anything like that, so we chose to just play our most aggressive, streamlined colors. These are also the colors that have the most cards in them, just the most quantity in general to choose from, so we have the best, most efficient removal, like Candy Grapples, Stone Splitter Bolts, stuff like that, and a great curve of creatures, so just trying to find the best colors in the sealed pool, mash them together, and get a functioning, reasonable-looking deck here, and that is certainly what it looks like we have today with black-red aggro. We've got some ways to make a wide board state with Ratcatcher Trainee and Lord Skitter's Butcher, and Edgewall Pack as well, and those all trigger Celebration by themselves, as well as 2 Merry Bards. While this doesn't make our board state wide, it still triggers Celebration, so with all the Celebration enablers, Belligerent of the Ball can be giving stuff menace, Grand Ball Guest could be a 2-mana 3/3 trampler at times, and with those few ways that we had to get multiple creatures off 1 card, maybe we get a wide enough board state for Gnawing Crescendo to help us find lethal in the late game. So lots of good ways to get tokens or creatures on the board, get a wide state there. Excellent removal overall, Triple Grapple, Feed the Cauldron, Taken by Nightmares, and Stone Splitter Bolt, and Rankle's Prank as an interesting card, potentially a finisher, Potentially a nice one-sided sack spell, because we can sack 2 rats maybe, make our opponent sack some better creatures. We're also a little more aggressive than your average deck, so maybe we get to dump our hand out quickly enough that our opponent will be forced to discard while we won't, or maybe we hit them for enough damage that that final 4 life is the last life that they have. So Rankle's Prank is the one rare we have ended up playing, and hopefully it puts in some work for us. But that is the deck for today. Without further ado, let's see how well it goes. Try our absolute best as we head into Game 1 of the Arena Open Day 1 event. Here we are for Game 1. Our opponent is on the play, which means we're on the draw. That gives us a little bit of extra time to hit land 3, land 4, which we definitely need here. It'd be a little bit of a risky 2-lander, considering we only have 1 2-drop. But since we're on the draw, I think it's definitely a keep. We already have both colors, so literally any land we draw gets us to belligerent to the ball, and if we keep hitting lands from there, we have some excellent plays from that point on. We have immediately hit a swamp, so big fan of our first draw. Not a big fan of our opponent's first play. They're on the play and they start with Scalding Viper, which deals damage to me every time I cast a spell with mana value 3 or less. So that is just going to keep chipping away at me while hitting me for 2 a turn. So a great aggressive start for our opponent. I think that is enough damage to just trade the trainee off. Oh my god. Turn 2 Viper, turn 3 Belligerent. Natural 3 color? Oh no, they had Evolving Wilds. Everybody has fixing and colorless in their sealed pools. My first 2 sealed pools had 0 colorless fixing, unfortunately. It's been a not fun time for old Gauntlet today. But trying to turn that around this game. No good attacks for Ratcatcher. Gnawing Crescendo can turn it into a good attack. Feel like Ratcatcher's not really going to help me block much, because they're likely to Belligerent this to be a 3-1 menace, in which case I'd have to double block with a 2-1 and a 3-3, and that's bad. So I'm actually going to attack here. I think I would trade Crescendo and Belligerent if they block. And if they don't, that's just 2 free damage, because Trainee was very unlikely to help me block this turn anyway. If they don't trigger Celebration, then I'm just having my 3-3 block the 2-1, and Trainee's not blocking there either. So I think I'm happy with how things went there. I think it's better for me if they don't block than if they do. If they do block, then I know I'm Crescendo, kill the Belligerent. But didn't want to have to like dump the mana on that. Belligerent for Belligerent is fine. We are on the back foot. We're on the defensive here. We need to be making blocks. I don't need to trainee a 2-1 on blocks though. So I'm going to send it in again, I think. Because we can set up better blocks. Potentially, if they don't have more removal. Edgewall Pack can block the Scalding Viper without dying, plus I get to cast the Edgewall Pack without shooting myself in the face, which is pretty appealing to me over the Merry Bards. I could Merry Bards to put the Young Hero roll on the trainee and go from there. Vampiric Rites is horrific. They're already in the lead, and now if I get into any sort of aggressive position, they could just keep sacking rats to get the card advantage lead. Yep. Alright. That cannot possibly be good for me. Could double block Edgewall Pack. They can't kill the Ratcatcher trainee no matter what, though, so let's buff that. Weirdly enough, now that they have Vampiric Rites on board, I have to try to push aggro here. Because if the game goes long, Rites is going to win them the game. Through card advantage. Now, even though they've got like the Viper burn going on us, we are in the aggressive position with Gnawing Crescendo as well, especially. This doesn't do anything unless we're playing aggressively. I guess it helps our blockers trade up into larger creatures, but our blockers are all already big enough to 1-for-1 trade. Okay. Do we take the trade here? 1 blocker up with a Gnawing Crescendo? I think we take this and just try to crescendo them into the death. Into the death. That's definitely the English language. Okay, land aid is definitely unnecessary. I'm at 12 life here, facing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the crackback. I'll be at 11 facing 7 damage. If they have their own crescendo, we're just dead, but we kind of are regardless. Just go for it. I don't think this is lethal, but math's for blockers, and we're going to cast it no matter how they block. Because if they don't block, it's lethal. For sure. Oh. Right. Well, it feels pretty good. -4, so if they blocked Merry Bards or Ratcatcher Trainee, it would not have been lethal, but if they just blocked the rat, we still would have killed them, and that was their most likely block. That was their only good block on board. If I didn't have a trick. So, we probably were going to lethal them there. Unless they've been killed by non-crescendo a lot, then they would have played around it. Cool. Well, we take those. Free victory off non-crescendo. Let's go. That was kind of our only hope because we were flooded out if non-crescendo was not going to get us there. And they had, again, that consistent life gain. And card draw potentially stacking up. So start things off 1-0. Pretty great place to start. Heading into game 2. Here we are now for game 2. Again, a hand that we need to draw a 3rd mana in. If we hit it, though, we can cast everything. Ideally, we don't cast bards till we have 4, but 1 land opens up a lot of really good plays for us. Guest into the pest problem is the most likely turn 2, turn 3 play we want to do. So we're going to play the guest, hope that we hit that land by turn 3. We did miss on our first draw, but we've got another chance at this coin flip. It is weighted a little bit against us. 44% chance of drawing a land right now, so it's probably like 42% last turn. But there it is. We do hit the land. And we take those, send in the attack, see if we get the free kill. We do not, but we'll still take that extra damage. Hit them down to 17. If I hit land 4, we probably play Merry Bards next turn. Return from the wilds. Find a human and a land. They've got a lot of Hamlet Gluttons in their sealed pool. That's going to be gross. Yep. I believe we trigger Celebration and put a young hero roll onto a rat for maximum +1/+1age. Attacking with everybody, because if they have a Hamlet Glutton, if they don't have a token on board, they can't play at turn 5, so the scariest turn 5 play for them would be land Hamlet Glutton. I would be terrified of that, and in trading my 1/1 rat into their 1/1 creature, I stop them from doing that, from having that option. Alright, Frolicking Familiar it is. Just a 2/2 flyer. That's pretty chill. Now I can do Celebration by casting Butcher and Ratcatcher Trainee, even if I don't get the rat token. But I'm probably just picking up the rat token, so everything's attacking is 3 power. And I have more creatures next turn. Yeah, I don't need Menace on this board. Because the only way they kill like a great creature is a double block anyway. Alright, they only kill a 3/3 rat by double blocking, they only kill the guest by double blocking. They can single block bards, but that's fine. Yeah, so Butcher into an additional rat. Do I play the Ratter? So they can't double block and kill the young hero? I guess? Yeah, then it's on board for next turn as well. Like, Ratcatcher Trainee is a little bit of a better attacker by itself, but the Tattered Ratter does make it so they can't just kill the young hero rat here, unless they want to lose both their creatures, because it would have 5 power on blocks. Ooh. Well, a 1 green mana instant, which I believe there's literally only one in the set, does wreck us here. That's really unfortunate. That would have made Menace better, but the odds of them having that there were pretty low. I guess I could have tried to get a little cheaty face and see if Arena was stopping for them. Yeah, kill the rat. What a absolutely insanely good couple turns for them. Jesus. Yeah, that was pretty absurd. Okay, so now they kill the rat or take 2 if I send everybody in. I probably just play the Edgewall pack then. I could exile the Alchemist and hit for 4. But I think I should be expanding the board state for future swings. Up the beanstalk. Draw a card. Land. Vantress Transmuter. That's chill. There's a Candy Grapple. That's spicy. I play a Rat Catcher Trainee and a Candy Grapple. This is probably a no-sack Candy Grapple here. On the Alchemist to save the Ratter. Hit for 5. I believe so. Oops. They are dead on board. And they remain dead on board. We are now 2-0 heading into game 3. Here we are for game 3. Super keepable. 2-drop creature, 3-drop creature, cheap removal. Both of our colors. Our opponent has any color in the universe available to them off of Crystal Grotto and Mountain. Would grapple the trainee immediately, but I think I'd rather get a Monstrosity down. Kinda wish I had another red source so I could Spear Guard and hold up the +2/+1 Minecart Daredevil trick, the Ride the Rails, but the hand's still pretty great. Can't complain much here. Can still cast the Spear Guard and grapple in the same turn. That's pretty reasonable. We hit them for 4 and just turn the race in our favor. They have a 1 red mana spell. They're going to torch the Tower Monstrosity. I don't like that, but I can't stop that with anything, so we're still doing this. They could have Stone Splitter Bolt or Red and X, and then it doesn't do anything yet. Alright, they've got Stone Splitter Bolt, probably. Or Monstrous Rage, the uncommon. +2/+0, put a monster roll onto it. If they have that, they should probably just cast it right now and hit me for an extra 3 this turn, plus an extra 1 for the rest of the game by buffing the trainee. So I imagine we have to consider Stone Splitter Bolt as the most likely option. Play around that, especially if they just hold up all their mana here. So they're going to try to Stone Splitter Bolt. Can't save anything with Daredevil, so it's just going to happen. So let's hit for 4. I mean, now they can have black spells up, so who knows. There's actually a wide variety of things they could have at instant speed for 3. Alright, Stone Splitter Bolt it is. Spend 3 mana to kill my 2-drop. That also gives me something back. Is A-okay with me. We can't save it with Daredevil. That's just not enough power. We accept that and then play a 4/2 for the turn. Actually, is it better to play a 2/2 and hit for 2 damage than play a 4/2? I don't think so. I guess it's kind of comparable. I think it's just better to get a 4-power creature down. It's pretty easy to block, but it stops them from attacking me at all here. And if they only hold 1 blocker up, we get to exile it and get in for 5. It's also easy to kill, but they have spent 1 removal spell. Embereth Veteran. That is actually incredibly good against removal, because I try to remove it and they just put a young hero roll on the trainee, which is pretty excellent value. I feel like a young hero roll on the trainee is good enough to just trade Daredevil down. Earth Veteran's just an incredible uncommon, and Daredevil's just an okay common, so that is kind of just how they're going to match up. There's definitely a power level disparity there to be experienced. Our opponent is still stuck on 3 mana, but that can definitely be a benefit over the course of a long game, because it means they still have 5 spells to play around with, so they are ahead in cards. Ooh, aggressive. They must have like +2/+0 to everybody in hand, or they have the absolute nuts dream sealed pool that has 2 recruiters or something. If they +2/+0 the board, I'm dead. If I don't have a blocker up. But if I play Merry Bards, I'm naturally going to have 1 blocker up. I feel like Merry Bards Make a Young Hero roll is going to survive most plays. If they have a second recruiter, these both hit for 6, I block the other recruiter and I live. And if they have the +2/+0 to everybody, I block one of them and live. Unless they go mountain off the top, they go land, torch the bards, +2/+0 to everybody. That feels pretty unlikely. So I think I'm supposed to go for the roll here. But I guess I can get the 3/2 on the board for blocks and still hold up the food and be extra safe. But then they start holding up blockers and less likely to kill them. You know, we can hedge our bets a bit here by doing this. 1 less damage, but still have a rat ready to steamroll them with that young hero roll. And this is about as safe as playing the bards and holding up the food, because now I have 2 blockers up. Maybe it's the fealty thing, steal my creatures and try to kill me with it. That would be pretty gross too. Alright, it's a 3/3, that's chill. Attack in with a 3/3 rat trade there. Lord Skitter's Butcher's the draw. They have 3 blockers, so if I give everybody Menace, they block 1 creature. They block a 3/3 and take 7. Which is not dead, but good lord, is it close. I guess if I attacked with Spear Guard last turn, that would have been lethal here. Such is life in the world of Magic the Gathering. I do believe I'm supposed to put them to 1. They have to double block a 3-power creature. Which they can double block in a way where I only kill one of their creatures, which is good for them, but... Alright. I miscounted. They go to 2, not 1. 2 blockers up against the 2 creatures are pretty safe on the crackback. Let's get a wide enough board state to all but guarantee lethal if they don't kill me here. There's the concession. We are 3-0 now, heading into game 4. And I guess, since I miscounted that I didn't have lethal there, since I miscounted that they were going to 2 and not 1, it's actually not that bad that I didn't attack with Spear Guard, because I didn't miss lethal by not attacking with Spear Guard. I would have put them to 1 if I attacked with Spear Guard on the previous turn, I suppose. Here we are for game 4, mono black hand with 3 red spells that really need to get cast early. That's kind of a forced mulligan. This is better, not considerably so. It is definitely a little greedy to put a mountain on the bottom with 2 3-drops in the hand. I just know I'm going to put this on bottom and draw all lands, but if I put this on bottom, I'm going to draw all spells. We can get so hosed either way. But if I draw a bunch of non-lands, I've got a lot of cheap aggressive stuff to draw into. This is definitely the greedy keep. But the other way can also just get flooded. This way can get screwed, the other way can get flooded. We can get got either way. No 1-mana removal. I don't think there is any 1-mana removal in white, so we're safe to get the extra damage in there. We did immediately hit the land, so very happy to have ditched one. There's a glass casket on my 1/1. I think I play a 4/2 on the empty board instead of a 3/3 that has a good celebration trigger. Alright, that's fine. Ooh, they're stuck on 2 lands? This might be greedy. I'm going to play Belligerent to the ball, so if I top deck a mountain, I can buff and cast Daredevil. And if I top deck this, then I can, Celebration. Yep, let's celebrate. I definitely can't choose to sack a creature. If I choose that I may sack a creature to scry 2 and draw a card, they can respond by exiling the cooped up Daredevil, so that would end really poorly for me. Because then they'll just exile Daredevil, and I will not have a creature I want to sack to scry 2 and draw a card. This doesn't give haste, right? Okay, good. Probably should have read that before I used the ability, but we're good. Wow, that's disgusting. Threadbind Clique. All of the removal spell adventure creatures are filthy magic cards. Tremendously powerful 2-for-1s. They don't have the blue source yet, so they don't get a 2-for-1 unless they draw a blue source. There's a Rankle's Prank, just to shoot them is valuable. Okay. Send in the team, and I Daredevil the Butcher. I mean, I ride the rails the Butcher. Instead of Ratatouille being in our hat, we're riding in Ratatouille's hat, I guess. Opponent is really missing those lands. But again, as soon as they hit a blue source, that could just be advantageous to them. Because it means they have 6 spells to play around with. Which is going to be probably pretty good at helping them stabilize. Tons and tons of options here. They do hit that, that 4th land. I feel like with the Rankle's Prank and the Crescendo in hand, we're probably going to be fine. Even though they have so many spells to start casting here. Yeah, so their best spell's just the 3/3, and I can just bolt it and hit them for a bunch. And then next turn, we probably just prank them to death. Just attack with everybody, they block one thing, take at least 1 damage, and then we do 4 more. Also, Crescendo would deal 4. It's just the concession. They're going to do some tricks to take less than lethal. Tap 2 of our creatures, take 1. Rankety prankety. Alright. Rankles prankles. Find us another victory, and we are now at a lot of wins. I think 4-0 here, heading into game 5. It is a fast deck. This is a very fast run. Yep, 4-0 heading into game 5. We can get 1 more win. Will it get at least a quarter of our entry fee back? But actually, 1,000 gems is a 5th of the entry fee, so no, we're getting $5 back. This is mono-colored, but it might be keepable. Having a double black card is definitely rough, but Spearguard into Daredevil into Belligerent, if I draw 1 land and I'm on the draw, is a great way to start things, and Candy Grapple's gonna be powerful, even if it takes a little while to hit the black source. Do find the black source. So let's jam in. Hoping our opponent taps out for something. Perfect. Actually perfect too. Because if they block, they're in a really bad spot. So they're unlikely to. Ooh, baby. You love to see that. I guess we don't know what's in their hand. They might not have even needed the mana ramp. They might just have land 3-drop, land 4-drop, so on from there. Don't want to kill Sir Ginger. Honestly, a trade is fine. We just drop a Belligerent or a 4/2. Nothing in hand that triggers Celebration single-handedly. So it might be better to get the 4/2 down. Although 2 mana up from them, they're much more likely to be able to play another 2/2 than another 3 power blocker. So Belligerent's more likely to be able to get in without dying. There's reasons to play either of these. I'm going to go for the Belligerent, though. It is the better play with certain cards that we can draw into, and it's more likely to get an attack in against 2/3s and 2/2s and all that kind of stuff. Make a food. They can sack the food to Sir Ginger. make Surginger a 4/2 and scry 1. Okay. Just hit us there. That's pretty chill. We've got Candy Grapple and Feed the Cauldron that I can use if weird things happen when I try to attack. And nothing happens. Player Daredevil? Could Rankle's Prank 2 of their cards in hand, but then 2 of my cards in hand are gone too, and I don't think that's ideal. Could play the Grand Ballgast and hold up a Candy Grapple to kill one of their creatures in their end step. But also, if I Daredevil here, I'm more likely to find something I can cast alongside Ballgast to celebrate next turn. Next turn. I'm just going to play the higher power creature. I'll just get more damage onto the board instantaneously. I've got 2 ways to clear a path. If I hit a land, I can just cast both at once. And that'll really get our 4/2 in. If I celebrate, I get a 5/2 menace in. Are they about to, like, Titanic Growth double strike the Surginger? We just lose out of nowhere? That would be very funny. Follows Scavenger. Just a 3/2. They don't have a food to make it any bigger. Gnawing Crescendo's the draw. So we play a Ballgast and a Grapple to hit them for 10, and then we Crescendo them next turn. If I Crescendo them now, they block a rat, take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got a Rankle's Prank to find lethal out of nowhere too. We have so many ways to do this, and I think they're all good. I think what I'm going to do, grapple the Scavenger and send with the team, then play a Grand Ballgast. They've got a 1 red mana red spell, Torch the Tower, exile Daredevil. That would actually be very good for them. If it's Stone Splitter Bolt again, that would be very good. Alright, probably Stone Splitter Bolt. Maybe it's Monstrous Rage? If they have Monstrous Rage and the Double Strike Trick, we could just die to Surginger. And the one thing we do really have to keep in mind is if they don't attack with Surginger this turn, then they have a 4 life swing right there. They can go back up to 13. If they do attack with Surginger, I'm just going to try to not die to the Double Strike Trick. I don't want to die to Titanic Growth Double Strike, and they're making weird attacks to make me feel like that's a thing. Okay, so there's a Monstrous Rage. That's it, though, so we're not dead. So we can almost definitely kill him with Rankle's Prank, if nothing else. The Rankledy Prankledy. Scalding Viper. A single blocker. Single blocker blocks there. They take 5, 6, 7, 8. They don't die. If they block Daredevil. Could just get rid of everything they have. Right, I can just Rankle's Prank for all 3. And then they have no cards in hand, so we don't have to worry about any tricks. But I will still have... probably Fell Horseman as the best card to keep. I feel like that's probably the safest line. I might be overthinking things here, but I feel like this is pretty safe to just... Just like board wipe, have a Fell Horseman, a 4/2, and a rat on board. Against their nothing, they're just straight top decking at 1 life now. Maybe we had lethal with a celebration trigger with Belligerent or something somewhere, but again, I think that felt really, really safe, so I enjoy that. Makes me feel comfortable. We are 5-0 now, getting at least 1,000 gems back out of the event, which is 5 of our $25. So let's go. See if we can't get a couple more wins, though. If we do, that'll be the qualification for day 2, meaning we get to play the best of 3 draft with major prizes on the line. Here we are for game number 6. Don't think this is keepable. It's another monocolored hand, but we don't have any of the lands of the correct color, and we really need to go turn 1 Spear Guard, turn 2 Trainee, turn 3 Daredevil to make the most out of all 3 of these cards. If it takes a couple turns to find the red source, these are all significantly weaker at that point. This is even worse. Well, I mean, I guess we can ditch Crescendo, and a turn 3 Belligerent is still, like, if I find the red source turn 3, that's fine. Can I afford to mulligan down to 5? It'll be bad. It will not be great. Any 5-card hand is not going to be great. But could play better than this on average if it's a 2-color 5-card hand. Because we do require the red source to do anything proactive. We just draw more swamps, all we have is a removal spell. Could also, if I keep this, just consider the fact that if I hit nothing but swamps, I'm going to lose anyway, so I could just ditch a swamp. But then I have to hit 2 lands to get to Edgewall Pack instead of just a single mountain. 2 lands to get to Taken by Nightmares. I think it's Crescendo that we ditch. Alright. This is not a great keep, but a Mole to 5 is also a very bad position. So no way to start with a decent hand this game. We do immediately hit that red source, punished for getting rid of the Crescendo instead of the swamp. Alright, our opponent is a slower deck here, nothing turn 2. Turn 3, they're going to drop something. And it is a Conceited Witch, just a 2-3 menace. That's pretty chill with me. Draw into the Rankle's Prank, slam through that turn because we drew into Rankle's Prank, and get ready to get the 2-for-1. Oh yeah. If they play another creature, I can even feed the Cauldron and still 2-for-1. Let's just Rankledy-Prankledy playing a weird slow game here. Do I even do the discard too? Drop a land and a feed the Cauldron, because if they had another 2-drop, they would have played it. That might be a little greedy, but I feel like we probably make them discard better cards than we end up discarding. Do I want to make each player lose 4? Most of the time, on average, I think I would, but here, a little concerned they're going to have a 5th land next turn. They're going to be, like, naturally in the aggro seat, but I do take it, my Nightmares. I'm a little scared of doing that each player loses 4, but we'll do the discard in the sack here. I think that's going to be good for us. Because land 5 is useless. I mean, not useless, but a little redundant. Land 5 is a little redundant, so we have 1 card we can definitely discard. So we only really have to discard 1 valuable card here, which I think we choose Feed the Cauldron. And we obviously wipe their board, which is excellent. Ooh, get rid of a Not Dead After All and a Stormkeld Vanguard. Alright. If I didn't choose the discard too, they probably would have just cast a Not Dead After All, and that would have been bad for me. That is wonderful for me. Being able to kill that before they get a removal out of it, yet again. Love to see our opponents just using Fawn's Bane Troll like that. Let's get our Edgewall Pack down, and now we've got a board state to beat down with. And that's our game. That's our game plan. Is their last card removal? If their last card's removal, we're in a great spot. Oh, it is. So we've got a rat on board and 3 cards in hand against 0 cards. Let's go. Play the Belligerent now and Pest Problem next turn. It's a little greedy, because I could hit them a little bit quicker by just playing the Trainee as well. Minecart Daredevil is a trick too. This is also probably greedy, but I want to go Minecart Daredevil and play it instead of Celebration the Belligerent. Works out for us. Certainly some greed in that line. I probably should have just passed Problem and guaranteed some menace damage coming in, but this is just extra value, putting us even farther ahead in card advantage. Feels like it's getting harder and harder to lose. The only thing that really gets us is a board wipe, like the 5-mana 3/3 flyer that can kill everything else, or a Gruff Triplets, the 3/3 that comes with a couple copies of itself. Now I just Scream Puff, because I don't need the Celebration for Menace. Just make a giant dork. Oh my god, what a brutal game for our opponent. That was not fair and balanced Magic at all. We got them really, really hard with the Rankles prank. And then we just drew nothing but gas, all non-land spells, and they drew pretty much all lands from that point on. So really rough game for our opponent. Like, we were already set up in a very good position after that Rankles prank, so I'm very happy with how that played out. But then the luck also factored very heavily in our favor with those final draws. So we are now at 2,500 gems, getting half the entry fee back, and we're only one win away from making it into the Arena Open Day 2 with 3 rounds in the chamber to get there. So fingers crossed. 6-0 into 6-3 is always brutal, but if you get that during an Arena Open, it's one of the worst feelings possible. So really hoping for the best here as we head into game number 7. Here we are on the play for game 7. I don't like the creature curve very much here, but I think I still have to keep it due to the consistent mana that we have. Yeah. If we draw into like a 2-drop and a 3-drop, this hand's going to be excellent, but we could also just hit like land, or 4-drop, 4-drop, or something like that, and then we're really not doing anything again until turn 4. So, not in love with this hand. I think it's one of the weaker hands that we've had, because we've had pretty great openers overall. We do draw into another 4-drop, which is quite awkward. It's potentially a pretty good one, though. Rankles Prank has played very well today. It's a high variance card, but we have been at the correct side of the variance overall today. Get the Spear Guard in again. It's holding for them, so they're probably going to immediately candy grapple our Belligerent to the ball, which will be sad, but we still definitely have to play something here. And then we've got the Fell Horseman to bring it back to our hand. If I don't hit a land drop, it's probably the play. No candy grapple on Belligerent. Love to see that. Now we have to consider what other instance they could have for 2 or less. That they can play at any time. Tap a creature, scry 1, draw a card, maybe? That wouldn't make much sense. This is the final win to get to day 2, so I'm going to try hard it and look up the instance they could have here. I mean, I guess we'll probably just find out this turn. They're white-black. They could have Archon's Glory to give one of our creatures +2/+2. They don't want to do that right now. They could have Prevent All Damage. That doesn't matter too much. Deal 3 to an attacker or blocker, but whatever they have, they can play at any time. They could have Moment of Valor, give a creature +1/+0. Alright. I mean, against most of the things that I can think of and that I'm just passively scrolling through on Scryfall, I just attack, and if they have something to kill something, they have something to kill something. Oh my god, it's this thing for like the 3rd time today? Stop. Alright, I mean, that's rude. I just pick up my Belligerent with Horseman, but I don't have enough mana to replay it, so is it better to just play a 3/3 right now? Probably not. They've got 6, like, spells in hand here. So I think I need to get full value off of all my dorks. Even if it means not being as aggressive. They could have Destroy a non-land permanent, Controller makes a 1/1. They could have Create a 2/2 Knight. Most of the things I'm looking up that they could have had turn 2, they would have just played already. Because they were holding something up turn 2. At least Arena's waiting, but they might be playing in full control mode the whole time. That's also always a possibility. Now that they have 3 colors of stuff, it is going to be real hard to try to decide what they're holding up. Okay, another land for us. So... if I Spear Guard attack it, I'm going to have to Crescendo to trade up. Best creature to put on the board is just the Belligerent again, and then I don't do anything else. Rankle's Prank in the hand. I feel like I hold this land and just play Belligerent. But with Rankle's Prank, I could also literally just pass the turn, but then they know something's up because they know I have Belligerent in hand. So I don't think I can just afford to pass turn without Belligerenting. Charade. Alright, Prank seems fine on this board. I guess it depends what I draw here. Minecart Daredevil. Daredevil up the Spear Guard seems decent. Wish I had another red source. Yeah, that's actually not great because I don't have the next red source. But still clearing out the Charade would be good. In worst case scenario, I just get a free damage in before we Rankle's Prank. Alright, cool. I guess we just Rankle's Prank then. Discard Swamp Crescendo. Do we do the discard here? How scared am I of them having more tap effects? We were concerned of them having an instant on turn 2, and it could be the tap a creature, scry 1, draw a card. Right, so if I just tap out for Fell Horseman and they tap it, they're going to scry 1, draw 2, and really get a control of this game with Charade. Yeah, this could be wrong, but I'm just going to full prank it. Incredible value plays from our opponent. They've cast 2 spells this game, and I feel like they're just far ahead off those. The 2-for-1 Threadbind, the 2-for-1 Charade. Discard Swamp Financier, so they drew into a bonus land for Charade, which is rough. Oh, return Triumphant on the Financier. They still have 3 mana up to interact with our rat if I try to adventure it. Yep. And they're definitely holding something up waiting this long, unless they're just holding full control. I don't think I can afford to attack with this rat and attempt to Daredevil it up and then have them spend removal on the rat and then I lose Daredevil forever. So we cast a Horseman. Or I exile the 2-3. Fairy Dream Thief. Surveil 1, they get to draw a card off of it when it's in their graveyard as well. Mill a land, basically drew out of a little bit of flood there. So already solid work from Fairy Dream Thief. Send in the Financier thanks to the Young Hero roll, hits us for 3. Solid onboard attacks with some tricks in hand. So I think we just swing in next turn. Again, not using any trick unless they tap out. We draw into a Candy Grapple. Now I can Candy Grapple and ride the rails. We've got real good tricks in hand. They could trade Dream Thief into a rat and then draw a card off of it from their grave. That'd be pretty decent value. Kellen's Lightblades, 3 to an attacking or blocking creature. If I give it +2/+1, it doesn't die to that anymore. And worst case scenario is going to be like a 2-for-2, because they're going to have to spend another removal spell to get rid of my Daredevil plus Horseman, so I think I go for it. Plus they only have a blue mana up. Yeah, and then I Candy Grapple the Dream Thief so that they can't block here, right? Because otherwise they block with Dream Thief this turn, and then I Candy Grapple. Yeah, I get the hit for 6 by doing this, so I think it's worth. Now we hit for 6 and we don't lose the Horseman. I think that worked out pretty decently. Uh-oh. They have instant speed bounce or something? That would be pretty gross on the horseman. Nope. We hit them down to 5. It's pretty major damage. If I hit a land and they hold no blockers up, Spear Guard hit for 5 is a potential route to lethal. And at 5 life, the 1 life loss that they have to spend to draw the card off Fairy Dream Thief is actually kind of scary. And that 1 life being used as a resource is kind of big when your opponent has 4 power on board and you're at 5. Because the difference between being at 5 and 4 is kind of a big deal. It's going to be a close game, however it shakes up here. Removal for the horseman. Yep, coop it up. Down to just a 1/1 rat on board. But with a Spear Guard, we still hit for 2 per attack. Kills them in 3 turns at their 5 life. And 2 turns if they spend the Dream Thief. Alright, I could cast Daredevil here, which is pretty threatening, but I'm going to go for Spear Guard for immediate damage, since we drew in to feed the Cauldron, because now I can also feed the Financier to a Cauldron, and not have to deal with that attempting to race us anymore. Do they have Moment of Defiance? Oh my god, we get them so hard if they do. They do. Moment of Valor is what it's called, but oh my god, what a lucky draw that Feed the Cauldron was. That just 2-for-1 big swing in our favor. Kill the Financier and get rid of that Moment of Valor trick. What a perfect kind of draw there. Speaking of perfect kind of cards, 1 card in hand, there's the Spellscorn Coven. They probably had that in their hand for a while, but doesn't make it any less gross for us. And now we do not have very good attacks. They are at 3. So our best lines are likely to just pass turn and try to get Daredevil to trade into the Coven. Hope they've just run out of stuff. If they use the Dream Thief, they'll have another card, but they'll also be at 2 life against 3 creatures, which means if they don't draw a blocker, they're dead, because they block Daredevil, take 2. Alright. Playing off the top here, but our opponent's real low. We're pretty low as well. It is, again, a real close game. We've got a food token, so we're at 10. It'll take a while for us to die. But our opponent is ahead in cards, with another piece of card draw in their graveyard. So, this game could turn around at any moment here. If they have absolutely nothing, if it's land and land in hand with a land on top of their deck, we're winning this game. But we don't know. No Exile the Dream Thief. So last card in hand is very likely some kind of spell. We just hit a land. If I move to combat, does Arena hold? Yeah, it is, because it's going to hold no matter what, because they have the Dream Thief. I feel like I have to make them have it here. Obviously, if they have the instant speed removal, this is going to be pretty rough. Because they kill the Daredevil with the removal, kill the Rat with the Coven, and then I'm down to just a Spear Guard. But at least we still poke them down to 2 by doing this. And just in case last card in hand is not removal, we kind of have to do this. Because this will lock in the lethal next turn. It's a trick on the Coven. They're going to give it lifelink or something here. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, I guess we get to keep the Horseman now, so this isn't terrible, but that's a huge life gain swing for our opponent. That could have been really bad for me, because what you can actually do with an instant speed bargain card is they could have Crystal Grottoed to exile, put the exile enchanted creature trigger on the stack, then Archon's Glory. I think if they had done that, we would have, like, no shot at this point. But the fact that I get to keep the Horseman is a really big deal. Really big deal, because that means that the Horseman declares attacks against their 2/3. Alright, they draw 2 cards this turn. One off the Dream Thief, one off the top. Yeah, it's a really intricate thing. You have to hold full control mode, I think, but if you spend the 3 mana to put your Exile Enchanted Creature thing on the stack and then respond with an instant speed bargain card, your Exile Enchanted Creature ability will still resolve even though the enchantment itself is going to get sacked to the glory. So, very rare occasion, but in instances like that where you have an Archon's Glory in hand and a Cooped Up on board, you can get extra value there. Oh my god, what a draw. That's horrific for us. There are not very many cards left in our deck that win now. They top deck a 4/6 flyer with Ward. Lord Skitter's Butcher wins, I guess. That's about it. Lord Skitter's Butcher or bust. Stone Splitter Bolt works. We've got like two outs to victory, I think. Candy Grapple works. Hopeless Nightmare is good. Get rid of their last card and put them to 2. Oh my god, and their last card was another click. If I attack with everyone, I put them to 1, but they can kill my Horseman and my Rat. And then they're at 1 with 1 attacker. They can hit me for 4 2 turns in a row. I think I need to hope they don't top deck into 4 damage, because I've got the food. I've got the food to eat, so I'm at 10 against 6 flying power. So they have to hit like their own Rankle's Prank to kill me. It's got to be big. If they don't kill me, the Scry 2 should go a long way. Maybe I should have just Scryed before I passed the turn so I know exactly what I might be drawing into to see if putting them to 1 is worth it. That would have been better. I think I should have just Scryed main phase. Because I'm not even like bluffing anything. I have no cards in hand. That was loose. Main phase Scry was definitely the line there. Main phase 1, see if an attack is worth it. Highly unlikely that it is, but maybe. Alright, Talion's Messenger, 3rd creature. If they attack with Coven, they do put a +1/+1 counter on the board, but they don't draw a card, because they just draw and discard. Yeah, so they're just going to pass. Alright, let's see if we can find something that might be lethal here. 3 blockers, 3 attackers. Merry Bards. I think that's a good enough draw that I have to play it. It's going to give me 2 more creatures that are big enough to kill them in 1 hit. Because it makes my Rat, so the Rat would hit them for 2, and the Merry Bards would hit them for 3. I guess I should even probably put it on the Spear Guard. I mean, how many cards do I have that just immediately kill them? Like, none, right? Like, I have removal spells that are good, but we'd hit them down to 1. Ratcatcher Trainee, Lord Skitter's Butcher would do it still, I believe. Not immediately. Lord Skitter's Butcher is the only card that kills in 1 hit, so I've only got 1 card that just insta-kills them, so I should probably keep the Bards. And I've still got the mana to eat the food after playing this turn. Young Hero roll, I believe, goes on the Spear Guard, so that they have to kill this on blocks. Whatever I put it on, they have to block. And I would rather they block a Spear Guard than something that doesn't give me something when it dies. So put it on Spear Guard. Now, our opponent's in a position where they can draw another card this turn, but they have to tap one of their blockers to do so. Which is a rough position to be in. Basically, if they don't immediately draw gas, they're very likely to die, because they'd have to dig for the gas, and if they dig for the gas, then they only have 2 blockers up instead of 3. So, I mean, Messenger being able to draw and discard cards for them is scary, but they hold less blockers up if they do that. And if they miss twice, if they miss and then they attack and miss again, they're just dead on board. So they kind of have to just insta-hit gas, mostly. They are going to do it. They're going to do the dig here. Draw a card, discard a card. Keep the best of the top 2. Discard a land. We'll see what the other card is here. Counter on the Coven for a better block. I guess we won't see what the card is, and we are going to have to make them have it and attack with everybody and maybe get blown out. Not sure how much I like that. I'm going to eat this food. Any of our bargain cards can be cast at instant speed after I declare the attack. Daredevil is huge. Now if just the rat gets in, they're dead. So even if they instant speed removal, trying to survive, we just ride the rails on that rat. And it's nothing. They dug and didn't find anything, and this was quite a different run from my first Arena Open Day 1, which I guess is not going to go live on YouTube, because now we know we get to make an Arena Open Day 2 draft number 1 video at the least. Which means tomorrow's video is going to be that, instead of a second Arena Open run, so... Alright. I mean, if you want to know how Arena Open Day 1 run went, I just had a bad sealed pool and went 2-3, I think. It was just like green. I think it was black-white stuff mostly. But yeah, it was not a great time. And then we just 7-0, not a single loss under our belt with our black-red 1 rare deck. Just a Rankles prank here. I mean, I guess just showing off the color imbalance here a bit. We do have really excellent removal here. 3 Candy Grapple's insane. We've got a lot of the great aggro creatures, that Ratcatcher trainee, the Spear Guard, the Merry Bards helped put in some damage, the Daredevils helped even. But also the premium uncommons that are really important, like Belligerent of the Ball, Lord Skitter's Butcher, found so much damage too. Rankle's Prank consistently putting in work today. This is a high variance card, but it was just always good today. Some really lucky stuff overall, honestly. A lot of great draws, a lot of bad draws for our opponents. That's just Magic. There's always variance in these games, and it does feel like there is added variance in Best of 1, and there is added variance in Sealed. We got a really consistent 2-color aggro deck here. We got a great curve of creatures, which you don't always get. My last try at the Arena Open Day 1 definitely did not have this many cheap creatures in any color pair. So that also helped us pressure our opponents and get a lot of early damage out. And of course, just the quantity of great cheap removal. A lot of great things going for this deck, even if it isn't in the most obvious direction of just having bomb rares and stuff. It's just great, cheap aggro stuff. Very happy with my choice of sealed deck today. Overall, pretty happy with how I played. I think there were 1 or 2 misplays that I brought up. I don't remember them at this point because I'm honestly just elated at the 7-0 victory, but I am certain we could have played better here or there. But overall, it was solid enough and certainly more than lucky enough today to find the victory. So that's going to do it. We are going to get all 5,000 of our gems back. That puts me back up to my 40,000. I was at like 50,000 before I started doing the Arena Open. I did 1 practice one, then 1 recording, and then this run here. So we did lose 10,000 gems. So hopefully, whatever happens in the Arena Open Day 2 Draft 1, we can get at least 10,000 gems back. I don't know how difficult that is to do. It's probably pretty difficult. Let's see. Arena Open Day 2 Draft 1. Yeah, we have to make it to Draft 2, basically, to get much back. It's just a little bit of gems. But yeah, that's a really fun event. I always enjoy the Day 2 drafts. It's a best of 3 draft of the newest format. We get to use all of the drafting knowledge and deck building tips that we've learned through all these premier drafts and traditional drafts we've been doing on the channel lately, and try to build the best deck we can against some fierce competition. Hopefully get 3 wins before a single loss, which can be difficult to do, but it is double elimination, so you have multiple chances against each opponent. And then if we get 3 wins, then we get into a Day 2 draft that's single elimination. So in Day 2, well, they're all best of 3 during the rounds. This saying single elimination just means that during draft number 2, if I lose a single round of draft 2, I'm out of the event. But if we go 4-0 and we don't lose a single round, then it's double elimination in draft number 2, so I can lose 1 match without getting kicked out. So hopefully tomorrow we can get 3 wins, so at least we get to draft twice. That's always my goal. Being able to draft twice is always awesome. Even if you don't get the cash prizes, you usually get plenty of gems back if you make it to Day 2 draft number 2. to pay for everything you spent during day one. So hopefully we at least get that, but I'll certainly be doing the best I can, and very excited to play some competitive traditional draft of the format. That is my cup of tea there. But for now, that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you are interested in seeing more videos like this and my day 2 drafts coming up tomorrow, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to make sure you tell that YouTube algorithm to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.